Welcome back to LAUTECH Open Distance Learning lecture series on ACT 113 Elements of Banking, study section 4, which says Evolution of Merchant and Development Banks. In the previous study sections, we discussed about the concepts and origin of banks in Nigeria. We talked about the theories of bank, and also we talked about the central banks of Nigeria, which now leads us down to the evolution of merchant and development banks. And I'm assuring you that you'll find this study section very interesting. Introduction. The beginning of merchant bank industry in Nigeria cannot be clearly traced to a specific timeline in existing books. So up till now, very little is known of the beginning of merchant banking industry in Nigeria in the existing textbooks and write-ups about the industry have been rather short in this regard. So an attempt will be made here to probe into earlier days of these industries. So at the end of this study section, you should be able to explain the evolution and development of merchant banks. You should be able to describe development bank, and you describe development banks in Nigeria, and also describe development bank of African banks. Let's look at these one after the other. The evolution and development of merchant bank. The two institutions that commenced merchant business in Nigeria were both registered in 1960, and the original banks were merchant banks as engaged in by the Italian grain merchants, which was the first involved in the Middle Ages. And merchant banking is a combination of banking and consultancy services, which provides consultancy to its clients for financial, marketing, managerial, and legal matters. And the following are the functions of merchant banking in Nigeria. The first one is they help in raising finance for their clients. Merchant banking helps its clients to raise financial through use of shares, debentures, the bank loan, etc. And it helps its clients to raise finances from the domestic and international markets. And the merchant bankers act as a brokers in the stock exchange. They buy and sell shares on behalf of their clients, and they conduct research on equity shares. They also advise their clients about which shares to buy, when to buy, how much to buy, and when to sell the shares. So the merchant banking in Nigeria also help in project management. Merchant bankers help their clients in many ways. For example, advising about location for a project, preparing a project report, conducting feasibility studies, making a plan for financing the project, and finding out sources of finance. And also they advise about concession and incentives from government. And also they help on the advices for the expansion and modernization in Nigeria. Merchant bankers give advice for expansion and modernization of the business unit. They give expert advice on mergers and acquisition and takeovers, diversification of business, foreign collaborations, and joint ventures, and also they help in technology upgradation. And the next one is they help merchants bank advise and manage the public EU of companies. They provide the following services. They advise on the timing of the public EU, they advise on the size and the price of the EU, they act as manager to the EU and help in accepting application and atonement of securities, while also the management of merchant bankers also help their clients in the management of interest on the ventures, loans, dividends, or shares. And they also advise their clients about the timing, that is the maybe timing and the rate of dividends, maybe the interim or yearly. And a merchant bank manage the portfolio's investment of his clients. This makes investment safe, liquid, and profitable for the client. It offers expert guidance to his clients for taking investment decisions. So, development banks in Africa. Development banks provide capital to companies and organizations when raising money for ventures is difficult, particularly in countries where investment capital tends to be scarce. So the primary function of a commercial bank, that is the development bank, includes accepting deposits and granting loans and advances. So accepting deposits. The most important activities of a commercial bank is to mobilize deposits from the public. People who have surplus income and savings find it convenient to deposit their amounts with banks. Depending upon the nature of deposits, funds deposits with bank also enhance interest, grants of loans and advances. The second important function of a commercial bank is to grant loans and advances. Such loans and advances are given to members of the public, to the business community at a higher rate of interest, rather allowed by bank on various deposit accounts. While the secondary functions, beside the primary function of accepting deposits and lending money, banks perform a number of other functions which are called secondary functions. These are as follows: issuing letters of credit, travelers check, circulars notes, etc. Also undertaking safe custody of valuables, important documents, securities by providing safe deposits, vaults or lockers. They also provide customers with facilities of foreign exchange. They also help in transferring money from one place to another and from one branch to another branch of the bank. And they also help in standing guarantee on behalf of its customer for making payments for purchase of goods, machineries, and vehicles. They also help in collecting and supplying business informations. Let's talk about the basis for establishing development banks. The following are the reasons for establishing development banks. The first one is to plug the gaps in the financial system of inadequacy of commercial bank service that are really concerned with long-term capital financing and the determination or involvement of Central Bank of Nigeria to bridge this gap through establishment of development banks. And also they act as a recognition at the domestic level. The importance of international development banks such as World Bank and International Development Association Development banks at national level are therefore established to investigate, undertake or finance projects which require more local knowledge and patronage than international finance. So they also basis for establishing development banks also serve as a catalyst to development by financing small independent manufacturing and industrial enterprises, etc., in order to promote speedy industrial expansion. And for the development banks are creature of government and do not emerge on their own. They are financed by government through CBN, this is the Central Bank of Nigeria, but also do obtain loans from institutional lenders such as banks and insurance companies. So let's now talk about the commercial banks. Commercial banks can be are the banks that receive deposits and advances in loans to promote business and commerce. And their important functions are making payments against check, advances loans and other drafting, discounting bill of exchange, letter of credit, etc. And they are not only facilitate traders, but they also help agriculturists to some extent, that is to get some loan. And the examples of commercial banks in Nigeria includes Access Bank, which is acquired Intercontinental Bank before, the City Banks, the Diamond Bank, Eco Bank of Nigeria, Enterprise Limited, formerly Spring Bank, Fidelity Bank Nigeria, First Bank of Nigeria, First City Monument Bank, Sky Bank, and etc. I hope you have a wonderful time for listening to this study section. Thanks for listening.